you don't know where to start with it because Arsenal. We know with Arsenal, they don't have that striker. We've said it all season. They don't have that number nine. They don't have that guy who puts it in the net. Havertz, he misses too many chances. I mean, they do have goal threats. They had a goal threat in Saka, but he got injured. But they got Trossard, he's sort of a super sub. Doesn't tend to start as many games. Martinelli blows hot and cold. Really, they don't really have that out and out, do they? That guy who puts it in the back of the net. And Man City have that guy, but they don't always feed him, as we know. Haaland is, but he's back scoring again. So it's really tough one to predict.
So, Jack, we are back remotely this time.
Hi, Nicos.
Well, this is COVID for you, so until next time, we're going to do this remotely. Before we start with this weekend's matches, let me go through the results from last week. It was Crystal Palace, Brentford 1-2, Tottenham, Leicester 1-2, Aston Villa, West Ham 1-0 draw, Fulham 0, Man United 1, Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest, surprising result 5-0, Brighton, Everton, away win for Everton. It looks like with the new coach they are on the up. Liverpool, Ipswich 4-1. Southampton, Newcastle 1-3. Wolves, Arsenal, win for Arsenal, away win, and 2 red cards. And Man City, Chelsea 3-1. They haven't seen any changes basically in the top of the league. But okay. I don't see who is going to stop Liverpool.
Yeah, Liverpool still look like they're in charge, don't they? They've got that game in hand. I know it's away at Everton, but it's still a game spare that they have, and they're still 6 points clear of the nearest rivals, Arsenal. So I know they got that much needed win, Arsenal, especially after throwing away that 2-0 lead against Villa the game before. To win away at Wolves. Not the easiest. Not the easiest fixture. No game is easy. So for them to get that grind out that win, to try and keep a little bit of pressure on Liverpool, although saying that Liverpool quite easily won, but they were playing Ipswich, one of the struggling teams. So look, if Liverpool, all they need to do is keep winning and keep that distance between them and the rest of the pack, and that's all they need to do, and just carry on what they're doing. It seems to be a magic formula at the moment in all competitions. So yeah, it's looking still like Liverpool at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah. The only change we had is Man City. They are now back in top 4, and your team is 5th now.
Yeah, it's tight. It's quite tight for those Champions League places, isn't it? From 4th down. And Man City have started to find a way to win and sort of get back to something like what we're used to seeing from them. They're picking up their form, and they're sharing the goals around again. And Foden's contributing, and Haaland's scoring again. So they're looking dangerous. They made a couple of good signings, haven't they, in the January transfer window as well? That Mamouche, the striker, and he looks okay. Although saying that, their other signing, Kusanov, the defender, made a terrible mistake against Chelsea. But it's first game, maybe we'll let him off. But they've made some big money signings, so they've. Unusually for Man City, they've spent quite a lot in the January transfer window, which you don't often see. So Pep's got his wish to get some more players in, so they could be dangerous in this as we go towards between now and the end of the season. They could be a force. Let's see, because they always have been, haven't they? Every season in the second half of that season. But yeah, and it's disappointing for Chelsea because they've sort of tailed off a bit the last few games. They've struggled. They've not been picking up those wins, and they're sliding away. They were we thought maybe one of the challengers, or they were certainly up there with Arsenal in second, third position, and now they've dropped right down, haven't they? They've gone down to 6, I see, below Newcastle. So good for Newcastle to get back in the wind as well.
to my defense, I said that next year they will be stronger.
Yeah, well, yeah, we did. You said that, and I did agree with you. But Chelsea, they were playing good, and they were getting wins, weren't they? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's still a bit too early to maybe for that project, let's say,
Okay.
to be challenging.
Let me go through the matches for this weekend. We have Nottingham Forest Brighton, Bournemouth Liverpool, Everton Leicester, Ipswich Southampton, Newcastle Fulham, Wolves Aston Villa, Brentford Tottenham, Man United Crystal Palace, and Arsenal Man City. The game of the weekend.
That's a great game. But there's some really good games though in there, isn't there? I mean, Forest will be looking to fight back after that, bounce back. I mean, after that shocking or shock victory, 5-0 against Bournemouth. So, that's a big game for them at home to Brighton. And we know Brighton are a good side. Man United know that, of course, recently. They're a good side, Brighton. So that will be a good game. Bournemouth against Liverpool. That's a really good game as well because Bournemouth are on their longest unbeaten run in the Premier League since they've been in the Premier League, 11 games. So go for Liverpool to go there. It's not going to be easy for them, and you can see that being a bit of a banana skin. Although they're a fantastic team, Liverpool we've seen this season, but Bournemouth can cause anybody problems, as we saw against Forest. So I'm looking forward to that one. That's going to be a good one. And Arsenal will be watching that one closely because, if Liverpool to draw, every couple of points they drop here and there or whatever, it gives them a chance, gives them hope to try and claw back that deficit, from being behind, all those points behind. So that's a good one. What else have we got? Oh, yeah.
Just to interrupt you, yeah. I was reading the other day that Iraola, he's using this fitness coach who's really top. I mean, and maybe it's one of the reasons that the sports science support team is really helping the squad, and that's why they are really. I mean, the intensity of the matches. Every time you watch them, you just say, okay, when are they going to, crack? Let's put it this way. But it looks like they play for 90 minutes non-stop with high intensity, and they are getting the results.
They're relentless, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're relentless. They seem to have high fitness levels as well.
Exactly.
But it's not just that; it's the connections. They seem, for a small club, they're not the poorest club. They've got quite wealthy owners, but the players seem to have a bond there. They seem to sort of link together much better than some of the bigger teams. Obviously Man United and things like that. We know their problems, but Bournemouth seem to be the other side. The other side of the coin. That they just seem to have such a great team unit, team spirit about them. And it's that mentality that's driven them to where they are. They're right up there, right up challenging for Europe for sure this season. And he's a fantastic manager. He could be manager of the season the way it's going.
You know that he only managed to coach AEK Larnaca in Cyprus for only a few months.
Yeah, I know. I mean, crazy to think of where he's come from, to being in the Cyprus League, to right near the top of the Premier League. It's a great story for him.
And that was not so long ago. It was not like...
Yeah, his progress has been rapid, hasn't it? I think he was at Rayo Vallecano, wasn't he, in the Madrid team? And, he did really well to, one of the smaller teams around, and he kept them up quite easily, and they outperformed expectations. He's got pedigree, and it won't be long. Bournemouth fans won't want to hear this, but it won't be long until he's been talked about for some big jobs.
Yeah, definitely.
So
definitely.
Let's see how that develops.
Yes.
But fair play. I like to see his team play. They're very entertaining.
Exactly. How about Everton? Do you see now that shift in momentum with David Moyes?
Yeah, they seem to. He's got to tune out the players, hasn't he? That's for sure. And he's got a couple of victories on back to back. So, and it was a surprise, win last time out, especially considering Everton have been terrible away from home. I think I saw a stat earlier. They've only won one of the last 22 away games in the Premier League. I mean, that's a shocking statistic. Not surprising because we know Everton have struggled in recent seasons. But to go away from home is never easy in the Premier League, and to get that win was away at Brighton. It was just I was surprised, but it all sets things up nicely for when they play Liverpool in that Merseyside derby in a few weeks' time. Because Moyes obviously is a legend. He's been there for years before in his first spell, and it was like a homecoming for him to come back. And obviously he was reasonably successful at West Ham. Well, especially in terms of winning that trophy, the Conference League. But maybe he was undervalued a little bit. He probably felt that as he left, and it's not always been plain sailing for West Ham in the last 10 years or so. So he's been their most successful manager for sure in that period. So if he can bring some of that success, he's not going to replicate what he did before at Everton, because there's no way Everton are going to be in the top 5, top 6 anytime soon. But obviously his mission is to keep them up. And now they've got that safety net, haven't they?
Yeah. And if he manages to keep them up...
A couple of victories, they're quite clear relegation zone.
Yeah. And if they manage to stay up with the new stadium, they will have, it will give them a boost and a momentum going forward, in my opinion.
Yeah, especially moving into that stadium.
Yeah.
So talking of new stadiums, it's been one of the newest stadiums is Spurs. We need to talk about Spurs because it's terrible, Nicos. What's going on there at the moment? They lost again, didn't they, to Leicester?
Yes. Do you think the Postecoglou era is near the end?
Yeah, we seem to be saying this every week. All the pundits on TV are saying this every single week. It seems to be going on forever, this last game for Postecoglou. I think it's because he's still in the cup competitions. I think that's probably why they're keeping hold of him. They've got that second leg of the semi-final of the League Cup. They're 1-0 up against Liverpool. I think if they lose that one, and if they lose in the FA Cup match that they have, the 4th round of the FA Cup, then I think they probably will get rid of him. I mean, unless they just think enough is enough because he keeps losing in the league. But Tottenham, I mean, to lose at home to Leicester, who hadn't won, I think they'd lost 7 in a row before that. Van Nistelrooy was under pressure already. And then to lose at home to them was, well, it's just shocking, isn't it? I think they just had enough, the Tottenham fans.
And not only that,
they're just not seeing anything.
Not only that, there was a close-up of Daniel Levy shot, a close-up shot, and he really looked disgusted.
Yeah, he looked like he'd had enough, didn't he? He just turned around. They focused on Ange Postecoglou, and then they zoomed in on Daniel Levy, and then he walked around, and then he turned around to me, and it just looked like he was about to be fired there and then. But he's still in position, so let's see how much longer he lasts. But they really need to win their next game. But it's not easy, is it? I'm just looking down at the fixtures. The Brentford away. I mean, that is not an easy game at all.
Definitely not.
To try and get back into winning form. So I can't see them winning that. But you never know. You just never know with Spurs. They're so inconsistent. Well, they have been inconsistent. Yes. At the moment, they're consistently losing, it seems. But they can turn it round. They can turn it round, of course. They've got the players.
How about your team against Fulham?
A home match, and Fulham, they're sort of hit and miss. Fulham. I mean, when they turn up and when they're on song, they're a really tricky team. But I didn't think they were very impressive against Man United. In fact, both teams were pretty. It was a pretty awful performance. It was a rubbish game to watch. It was probably the worst game to watch all season. It was boring. It was poor quality.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to step up a little bit if they go into St James's Park, because obviously Newcastle got back to winning ways against Southampton after that, bad defeat against Bournemouth at home. Before that, that was a shock result as well. But Newcastle. I'm glad that we got that win against Southampton, especially after going 1-0 down. I was thinking when I was looking at the scores, I was thinking, oh no, not again. But to come back, and we've got Isak on form. We've got some players slowly coming back from injury. Nick Pope was on the bench. I mean, we've got options. It's just finding the form again that we had before that defeat. But I think they bounced back after that Southampton game. That should give Newcastle the confidence to beat Fulham. I hope they get the win, keep that pressure on, and really give us belief that we can make the Champions League this season. That'd be fantastic. And of course, Newcastle don't have the Champions League or any European matches, do they? So they can focus on that. Yeah. They can focus on the league.
And we have a local derby, Wolves Aston Villa.
That's another great game. That's the late kickoff, isn't it, on the Saturday?
Yeah.
So that should be a really good atmosphere, and the fans will be fired up for that one. It means it means a lot to the fans to win that one. Wolves, they need to find something. They've had all sorts of problems going on with their players. I don't know if you've seen, but they've had discipline problems, haven't they? The new manager is quite outspoken. He said some quite bold things about his players. Saying, "Oh, Cunha wants out, and now he's back. Now he wants to be back in again. He's ready to fight for the shirt to play." But I'm not going to play him at the moment because he doesn't just walk back into the team. But then he did play. It's all these. It seems to be a little bit of mind games or politics going on there. They just need a few more players in and a bit more quality, I'd say. And because they don't play too badly, they don't. They just can't defend. They don't put the chances away. But in between, in the midfield, they hold their own. So Villa will be looking to bounce back, but the good thing for Wolves is they're playing Villa again after a Champions League week. And all season long, we've seen Villa struggle after they've played a Champions League match.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
That might give them an advantage.
You're absolutely right. So, as you said, Wolves, if they want to stay up, they need to start picking up points. So otherwise, they're going down. And,
yeah.
And we have the Arsenal Man City late kickoff on Sunday. So
that's a big one.
And any predictions?
You don't know where to start with it because Arsenal. We know with Arsenal, they don't have that striker. We've said it all season. They don't have that number 9. They don't have that guy who puts it in the net. Havertz, he misses too many chances. I mean, they do have goal threats. They had a goal threat in Saka, but he got injured. But they got Trossard, he's sort of a super sub. Doesn't tend to start as many games. Martinelli blows hot and cold. Really, they don't really have that out and out, do they? That guy who puts it in the back of the net. And Man City have that guy, but they don't always feed him, as we know. Haaland he's back scoring again. So it's really tough one to predict. It's at Arsenal. I'm probably going to go for a draw. I can see Arsenal, it'd been a bit like that first game earlier, the reverse game at Man City when it was Man City Arsenal, where Arsenal went down to 10 men, didn't they? And they defended for their lives 1-0 up for so long. And then Man City got that late equaliser. And it was a killer for them really at the end. I just think I can just see that being a draw and Arsenal throwing everything at it again like they did in the Villa home game. They just couldn't get that goal, could they? They've dropped so many points they shouldn't really have dropped, Arsenal, especially that Villa game. That was a killer one for them. So I'm going to go for a draw. I know it's on the fence, but I think that's what it's going to be.
And as you mentioned, if you want to be successful in the Premier League, you need to put the ball in the net.
Yeah, they do. But like Liverpool, they just don't seem to drop points, and they get those wins. Whoever it is scoring, and even their outside players like Nunez came on and scored 2, didn't he, in that Brentford game? So they've got quality everywhere, and they got people who happily put it in that net. That's what we're all here for, and it's scoring goals, and that's the most important thing.
And especially on a bad day, not just when you're flying. This is the thing.
Well, that's what Man United were so good at all over those years, weren't they? With Ferguson, they sometimes didn't always play their best, but they had that last minute winner, or they had Hernandez to come on, or Saha to come on, or Solskjaer to come on, all across the years, all Sheringham to come on, all these players over the years come on and score the last minute winners or make an impact when they weren't playing too good. That's the mark of a champion team, isn't it?
Exactly.
Championship winning team.
And one final match, which was going to be on a Monday, Chelsea, West Ham, another local derby.
Yeah, another London match.
Yeah.
I mean, Chelsea have been a bit out of sorts, and also it's obviously Graham Potter going back to Chelsea, so that's the subplot, isn't it? That's probably why he got picked for a Monday night game as well, because of that as well. So yeah, West Ham have picked up a little bit, but they're sort of, where are they in the table? They're sort of not where they should be, are they? They're 14th, yeah. So they're just above Spurs. They're sort of in that mid-table. They're too far away from the European positions, and they're comfortably away from the relegation zone. So they just need to find a bit of form, maybe between now and the end of the season. Maybe scout some players for next season and see what sort of money he's got to bring in, Graham Potter, the players to bring in. But yeah, I think in that Villa game, it's tough to go to Villa. They don't lose many at home. I think they've got the second best home record in the last 10, 11 games in the league after Arsenal. So even though Arsenal have drawn a few games, they
Yeah.
don't tend to lose many at home.
And
They drop points.
And anyway, Chelsea, they need to win to put pressure for the Champions League places.
Yeah, I mean, as a Newcastle fan, I'm hoping West Ham get the win there, or at least get a draw. But Chelsea need to. They need to they need to start winning games again. That's the thing, and they've not won enough for the last 5-6 games to justify being in the Champions League places. But we know they've got the quality. They might even bring a few players in. Who knows? I know they're linked with Garnacho of all players. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but they're actively looking at players. And they seem like they've always been linked with players every window the last couple of years. They sign everybody, but they just need to. They need to bounce back, and that might be it. Under the lights at Stamford Bridge on a Monday night might be the perfect opportunity to kick things back off again for them. But yeah, fingers crossed from my side. West Ham do get at least a point there. That'd be great.
And now that you mentioned about the transfer window, as we expected, most of the teams are not really active in this.
No, it's quite quiet. I think it's going to be a last-minute thing again.
You think so?
I think it's going to be right down to the final day, and there's going to be some deals. I know Postecoglou talked about it in his press conference. He said, I think it's going to go down to the final day. There might be some business. I'm not going to promise anything, but I'm going to tell you now, we've not got anybody coming in at the moment. And I think that's the case with a few clubs. I think there's going to be a few last-minute scrambling, before the deadline, which is silly, but that's what I think is going to happen. I don't think there's going to be huge deals. Man City are probably going to be the team who have the headline signings, who they've already made. But I can't see many like big money incomings into the league, into the top teams either. I think Wolves need to bring some players in. Teams towards the bottom need to bring a couple of players in. Maybe new managers like Potter might want to bring somebody in, and Moyes might want to bring somebody in up front. But apart from that, I don't see lots of activity because it's the prices are higher, aren't they, in January? And some teams are happy to wait for the summer to sign the better deals.
And last minute, usually the players are overpriced because the pressure is on the team that want to bring the player in, and that's a big issue.
Yeah, exactly. I'll always remember that the big money deal for Andy Carroll, 35 million, when Liverpool signed him from Newcastle on literally the last hour of the transfer window, and it surprised everyone because it was just a complete overvaluation of that player. I mean, he was a good player, and then obviously Chelsea signed Torres on that same day for 50 million. So back in the day, there used to be some crazy deals, but I think clubs with PSR, they're not willing to jump into these crazy deals anymore, and they're having to be a bit more clever. They're having to be like Chelsea and do these long-term deals, which I think they're trying to ban that, or they have banned that now. So it's sort of stifled. It's sort of halted the January transfer activity. It's not as much as a busy, active market as it used to be, and it's not as entertaining for the fans anymore. The deadline day used to be an event everybody would tune in for. Now it's lot less busy. It's more pre-contract now. They sign players. They make an agreement with a player who's out of contract in the summer, and they sign a pre-contract agreement for him to join in June, July. That it's more of a boring deal, really. For fans.
You're absolutely right. One last topic to discuss is about Amorim's post, conference about what he said about Rashford. Do you think there is a way back for Rashford after what Amorim said?
So. I don't think so. And Rashford's going to have to go, isn't he? He's going to have to go in January. He's not. I can't see how he gets back into the team. I can't see Amorim playing him. He even said, didn't he? He even said he'd rather put the goalkeeping coach on, or play the goalkeeping coach instead of
61-year-old goalkeeping coach.
I know, it's crazy. And what's Rashford going to think, listening to that? And one thing I noticed about Amorim is, surely somebody needs to tell him to keep his mouth shut or not say silly things. He's too honest, and he comes out with some crazy statements, doesn't he? He comes out with some really strange things, and a lot of people who don't like Man United, they find it quite funny. They share what he's saying, and it's almost like a joke. And he's quite brutally honest, and he doesn't seem as trained for the media, does he, Amorim?
I think he's he mentioned it, that he's not used to all this media attention. Usually, like in Cyprus, it's during the match, post-match interviews, maybe in the club's channel, they just make a statement which is controlled by the club. So the media scrutiny in England is unbelievable, and he's not used to it. So I agree with you, because he makes a statement, and then in the follow-up press conference, he's trying to correct himself.
Yeah, he's almost trying to dig himself out of that hole, and sometimes he digs deeper. It's been a problem, and as a Man United fan, that must be frustrating, because you want action on the pitch. Really, there's a lot of words and this and that, and he's complaining about whatever, but he needs to find the solutions, doesn't he? Because it's not been an amazing start at all. It's not been the best start for the manager. I know he's only got the tools he can deal with, the players, but surely you're expecting something a bit more. I mean, the performances are one thing, but the results have been terrible. They really have been since he's been there, but over the last 5 or 6 matches in particular. You just got to climb up that table. What, you're 12th still, and you're still quite some way off anywhere near the European places. So it's going to have to be, if you can't bring any players in, and if you can't shift Rashford, he's going to have to find space for Rashford. You can't just have someone like that hanging around and being a negative influence. He's got to try and either get him back on side or shift him out before the end of the window. Otherwise, it's going to be a toxic atmosphere.
Yeah. But European places, what? Play in the Conference League?
Yeah, I mean, I think ideally for Man United, there'll be no Europe, will there? There'll be no Europe, and they can just focus on the league and building, and not have too many fixtures next season, and just sort of try and re-establish and at least challenge for some European places next season without being in Europe next season. Maybe that's probably best.
Yes, Jack, but now with the PCR rules, you need the income from Europe. I don't know.
I mean, you're doing okay in Europa League. If you win the Europa League, you go to the Champions League. So that could be your best. They could put all their resources into that and play their best teams in the Europa League to try and give that a go.
You're absolutely right. By the way, before we close this down, what is that jersey you're wearing?
So I'm wearing my Northampton jersey today. I mean, unfortunately, they lost last night. I watched the game on TV. This is my home
that
team.
crest was reminding me of something. I don't know, Polish team or something.
Oh no, definitely not Polish team. This is Northampton. I mean, I know I talk about Newcastle, but my hometown team is Northampton, and long-suffering fan. But yeah, this is the Northampton game. Hopefully, we'll be in the Premier League one time, but we haven't been since 1966. Famous year for football.
All right. Okay. So we did the review for the upcoming matches. We'll come back next week to see how this weekend matches go and discuss more, because there are quite a few interesting matches this weekend. And as we are getting more and more near the end of the season, it will be really interesting to see who's really fighting for the European places, for the relegation zone, and let's see what's going to happen.
Yeah, let's see. Thanks, Nicos.
Thank you. Bye.